enjoyed the session yesterday with David and myself. I hope nobody apart from the HD staff commented about his eyebrows. They are his trademark. They are what make him who he is. And I think no one's ever going to forget them. So, but as long as it keeps a creative flair coming through, that's all I really care about. So before I do go into the designs and the detail of what we've done for the new print fabrics that we're about to launch, I'd really like to cover off just a few bits and pieces, some information on why printed fabric, particularly for roller blind application, is going to be so huge for our market, and also how we're taking the first set of launches into the Luxaflex brand. So I'm not sure if a lot of you know, but printed fabric actually has a lot shorter lead time. So in terms of comparing it to a traditional woven fabric, it can be put into the market a lot quicker. It can be arranged in a lot more colourways, and it allows it to be something that's all about style, a little bit of fashion. So you will get some designs that are more seasonal, that will have a shorter life cycle. So they may only come in for 6 to 12 months and be out. And there are some designs that will definitely be around for a lot longer. So this allows us to really continue to innovate and to add point of difference to the Luxaflex brand, and it really continues to allow us to also be leaders in terms of understanding what the market requires and being able to fulfill designs that will suit everybody. So we're talking about being able to also look at ranges for younger kids, which is something that's definitely popular in the print world. It can also allow us to look at things for different styles of homes, whether it's traditional or more modern, and it will allow us to also introduce colourways very differently. So you can go for the neutral colours, and you can also go quite striking, opulent, very bold. But as we know, for a roller blind application, it's a lot more in your face. It's not as soft looking as what, say, a fabric is on a pirouette or on a drapery or anything like that. So we really have to be mindful in the way that we approach things. So there really is an endless amount of opportunity in terms of how we can introduce fabric that comes through from the print world. And one thing that's really important to understand is that people can actually take photo images and all sorts of things. So woven fabrics are also something that we're going to see sort of simulated and printed onto roller blind fabric. So this is the beginning of something that's quite huge and quite significant. And as long as we continue to be the early leaders within this range, people are going to come back to us and are really going to know that it's the Luxaflex brand that really understands what printed fabric is all about for roller blind application in particular. So what we're doing from our perspective for the first season is we're actually introducing some designs that will be available in our warehouse, and some designs that will be available as what we call at a print to skin basis. So what that means is these print to skin fabrics will be printed on demand, and I'll point out which designs they are. And the reason we've done that is because currently in the market, and also because of the life cycle and the design, it requires you to be able to control inventory. And because we can control the inventory and the stock holding, that we're able to continuously evolve something like printed fabrics and introduce quite a number. So at the end of the print session, I'll talk to you about how we look at swatching differently as well and how things will evolve. So let's kick off with our first design, Micropia. Thanks, Kay. Wrong one. Number 2.
No, it's actually number 1. Now.
It's number 1. Okay, there you go. So as you would have heard yesterday, and probably from some of the other product sessions now, that Micropia is all about the finer detail. It's all about pattern, it's all about texture, and it's all about print. So what we did is we went to the White House School of Design and we briefed in the students about really trying to connect with the Australian market and the DNA of pattern and print within the Australian culture. And I announced the winner was Rebecca Smith, and she developed this brilliant design, and I'm sure you can see that it's very elegant, but it does have that very Australian flora, fauna sort of adoption to it. And very excitingly, it will be available in 4 colourways that really represent the Australian personality. So this colour is called Rugged, and you can see there's those urban rugged colours that you'd find from our nature. We've also got Bubbles, which now I'm happy for you to all look at the hose and not sneak it away. There's the Bubbles, pink, yellow, that's on the back there, that's Bubbles. There's going to be a green shade, which is Fauna, a very soft, delicate green. And there's also Blue Ocean, which is all about our encompassing waters. So Micropia, as well as all the prints that you're about to see, they're all going to be available as 3 metre wide fabrics again. So in both blockout and translucent opacity for roller blinds. And the next lot of prints that we're going to look at are the ones that we've been working on signature prints with. So signature prints, as you know, they're global leaders in both pattern, design and print for application on many surfaces. So fabrics is one, but like you would know, they also do a lot of wallpaper and a lot of other decorative items. So they've been around for more than 30 years. They really know about where things are going, why things are what they are in the pattern and print world, and how to really take pattern and print to a whole new level. And being a premium brand again, these are the type of people that we are going to be associated with and that are really going to push us apart within the market of what we do. So the first exciting design that I'd like to introduce you to is actually Texie, our sexy new texture. So Texie is the Hessian design that David mentioned, and it is all hand-drawn, and you can see the pattern that's represented there is really inspired by that Hessian texture that you'll find in a Hessian fabric. So it's undirectional, you can't follow a particular pattern. It's very subtle in the colourways that you can see through the neutral, and it can also make that understatement through adopting actual different colours onto the print method. So it's a real timeless pattern. It's something that we feel is one that's going to be so easy to apply to various homes, being traditional or modern. But I think it'll be surprising in the way that it transforms through the colours. And the colours are all on the hoist, so I will point them out when we get there. And again, there's a dark egg blue type colour, and there's also a greenery colour. So we know also from David's session, these are sort of the classic type of colours that actually allow people to make sort of a statement but also live with them for a long time. They're not something that's going to go out of fashion anytime soon. So we know beiges and greys are very safe, but people now, particularly the Australian market, is actually wanting to add a bit more colour into their home, given all the influences that they're seeing through the home decorating shows and social media and so on and so forth. So they're getting a lot more educated from a colour perspective. Next we have Finesse. And Finesse is just on the back there. It really draws to the inspiration of nature again, as David mentioned yesterday. And it's a gorgeous, pretty design in terms of the way it captures nature at its essence and the way it can be transformed. So we probably know a lot of you do have decorated business, and you'll see a lot of the tropical prints, things come through. This is a totally different take, because we felt it needs to be delicate for roller blind application. It can't be as striking because it is a flatter surface. It is something that's still going to be making a statement just because of the way that it's finished on the surface. But again, for colour-wise, you can see that I've put this particular colour up so you can see just how much of a statement it can make. So although it's not screaming, you will still be able to apply it very easily. And again, we do have the neutral colourways. So Finesse does draw from a bit of the nature colours, but it also brings in some sweet, subtle colours that also will allow that extra statement to happen. Again, blockout and translucent opacity across all the ranges in a 3 metre width. The third design that we have is probably the one that's most bold out of the whole designs that we are launching into the season, and it's Spring Bloom. And I'm not sure that David touched heavily on this particular design. It was up there in black and white, but Spring Bloom is actually something that's been inspired by William Morris and the designs that he actually was very much renowned for in the craft movement and the design and decorative side of things in the 60s and 70s. But this is a perfect example of how something can really withstand time and transform just through colours. And you can see that's William Morris on the slide there, and that's some of his very famous designs and patterns that he's known for globally. Colourways are very different, but from a pattern and detail perspective, the inspiration and the beauty is definitely there. So the really interesting thing that we've done with Spring Bloom is we've adopted colour differently. We've actually gone with a backdrop colour that changes in two of the colours. So you've got the grey there, and then you'll see there's a beige up the back, and then the front floral detail is also very different. So there are actually 3 colourways in one particular skin. Now, that's something that we usually don't incorporate as much from a print perspective because it can get quite busy, but I think you can see that it's very easy to live with something that's so subtle. And depending on the space, of course, of where it's played, it's still something that's going to be inviting and relaxing just because of the colours that are used into the pattern. The other 2 colours that are part of Spring Bloom actually adopt a white backing. So it's just a white background, and then you've got your beige detail and your grey detail. Again, they're all on the hoist at the back, and it'll be quite striking and I think quite surprising to see the colours side by side, and that way you'll be able to see just exactly how they can fit so many different styles of home. The next and the final design from Signature Print is actually Fleur Bouquet, and this is also one that's a little bit daring but very different in the way that it takes pattern into printed fabric, because what it actually does is it's actually inspired by soft florals, but it removes the outline detail. So unlike Finesse, where you've got the detailed lines there really making the structure of the pattern, Fleur Bouquet removes that and it allows the eye to transform through the design. And what that means is that you can actually play with the colourways quite easily to create the statement. It's actually a form of textured type print, very much like Texie, but using a totally different element, where Texie uses a fibre inspiration, a fabric inspiration. Fleur Bouquet obviously uses flowers, floral petals, but it's all very pretty. And then when you see it in the beige tones and the grey tone, you'll really see how it creates a whole different feel in terms of pattern and the way that print can really transform. So I'll be very honest with you, I've always been a very traditional girl. I love my fabrics, I love my textures, I love the touch and feel, but the amount of play and the amount of connection that you can have with printed fabric is actually also very present. So people think, oh, it's so modern, it's something that's just not, people aren't going to be able to resort to. It's actually not true at all. People are going to love these designs. They're going to be able to create that own emotive connection, and I think a lot of it is going to be a result of the colour and the detail that you're going to see comes through. So I hope you're very excited that the Luxaflex brand has been able to bring this collaboration along with Signature Print. What we've also done is we've taken to one last design, which is Augustine, and this is taking the modern twist on print. And Augustine is about the inspiration of watercoloured florals. So I'm sure with bedding and a lot of other furnishing items within the home, you've seen a lot of watercolour inspiration being applied to surfaces. We've also been able to adopt this to our rollerblind fabric. So Augustine again will be available in 4 colourways, just like all the other designs, but it's also about being funky. It takes a print side of thing that's totally different, and you can imagine that going from something from Texie to Augustine, the customers are really covered. We've got everybody covered by what we can do and what type of statement they're trying to create within their home. So, what is print to skin and what is roll to roll? The last 3 designs, the Augustine, the Fleur Bouquet and the Spring Bloom, that's just over here, these will be the print to skin options. So print to skin also requires a longer lead time. So traditionally within the industry, printed fabric takes about 21 days to turn around from full completed products, and these 3 ranges will also have the same lead time. The other point of difference that these 3 ranges will have is the way that they'll be swatched. So with all the designs that you've seen today, you will receive a repeat card that shows the pattern. You'll receive, for just the print to skin options, again, Augustine, Spring Bloom and Fleur Bouquet, you'll receive 1 full-size print of the actual size of what it is in both blockout and translucent opacity, and you'll also get a printed fabric piece in both blockout and translucent again in what the 4 colourways are. So that's how the print to skin options will be put within the swatch book. The items that will be stocked items, they're going to be swatched as normal swatching. But all the print designs that you'll see are going to be swatched at a larger A4 type size. They're not going to be the A5 because that won't obviously do them any justice. So that's the way that they'll be swatching. And this is really, particularly for the print to skin, this is the industry standard. A lot of the people that offer things, for example, online, they actually make people purchase separate pieces of sampling. So the fact that we're taking this approach is something that will really get you ready in terms of what's available and what's going to be happening down the track. And we're going to end up with swatching books this big. So I don't think anybody really wants that. But a lot of things are possible, and it is an endless opportunity for us. And I really hope you're excited about all the launches that you've seen for fabrics this session. It's really been a huge year for us, and we're definitely introducing a lot more than what we have. So for the range refreshers, and also Taylor and Farrow, which are two of the Living Series fabric, as well as the prints, they're all going to be launching 14th of September. The Sheffield, which is the plainer weave, is going to be launching the early October.